If you've been on the channel for a little bit, you know we have a couple of things on this channel. Number one, we have a series called 5 Songs to Start With, where if you're looking to get into a band or you've always heard about them and you're not sure what you should listen to first, we give you some picks that we think you should start with. And number two, you know that Lauren often picks artists that kind of expand the reach of the channel past things that I normally listen to, and I end up learning from these videos as well. So today's video, Lauren's going to come in and share 5 songs to start with the Little River Band, coming right up. Hey, it's Russ and Lauren from the Infectious Group podcast and here on YouTube. And like I said in the intro, I'm not overly familiar with the Little River Band. I maybe heard 1 or 2 songs before I met you and you started playing more for me. And a lot of times with these videos, we'll get people who are like me, who are like, oh, well, what should I listen to first? But we also get people that are very big fans of the band that are like, I wouldn't have picked those 5, or I do agree with those 5 or whatever. So no matter which version of a fan you are that are watching this video, if this is your first time here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we do videos like this all the time. But for today, Lauren's going to tell us where we should start with the Little River Band.
Yes, this is exactly where you should start with the Little River Band. The first song that I want to talk about is actually off of their self-titled album, and it's a little different than what they ended up doing as their career went on, but I feel like the song is definitely worth talking about. And it's called It's a Long Way There. And if you have any notion of what the Little River Band is, you probably think, soft rock, which, yes, that's what they do. Mm-hmm. But early on, and especially with a track like this song starts out with, I get real Yes vibes from it.
Which is cool. Unexpected and cool.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, there's definitely, you can tell what direction they're going to go because there are some real soft rock elements to it. But I think it's fun to hear them be kind of experimental.
Well, and for someone like me, well, first of all, if you're a longtime fan of the band, you probably hear this pick and you're like, yes, people should hear that. Second of all, if you're like me and the only thing you've ever heard is soft rock, almost yacht rockish type stuff, it's cool to be like, oh, I didn't know they had this in them as well. So if we start there, where are we going next?
You're going to go to another song that I feel like, yes, has, soft rock to it, but it's one of their most driving tracks. It's called Help Is On Its Way, and it's got one of the most fun bass lines that I've ever heard. And you really feel like the song is kind of chugging and moving along.
The first thing I always think of whenever I think of Little River Band is the harmonies and the vocals.
Oh my God.
So I think it's cool to have a song that the main focus is an awesome bass line.
Yeah. Oh, and with some really fun harmonies on top of it, for sure. I mean, the harmonies are that's what you come for, right? The Little River Band.
The next one that you have on the list is one that this series kind of focuses in on. We have another series on the channel where we do hidden gems, which kind of on purpose avoids the hits, right? But the next one that you have on the list, I think a lot of people might have heard this, but it's also kind of like Little River Band basic training.
Yeah.
You need to hear this one.
You absolutely do. This is probably my favorite Little River Band song, and it's called Reminiscing. And it's one of those songs that just kind of paints a picture in my head, because he's telling a story about thinking back on stuff, and I can picture exactly what's going on. I did this at karaoke not too long ago, and you asked me, who was that? And
yeah, as soon as I heard it, I was like, who? I know that song, but I don't. Who is it? And you were like, LRB. Yeah. You're very flippant about it. We got 3 down and 2 to go. So if people are liking what they're hearing, which I always say this in the videos, but you don't have to search anywhere for the songs. I'm going to put links to these songs right in the description of the video. So if anything we're saying about these songs appeals to you, all you got to do is click down there and you can go check them out and then leave us a comment letting us know what you think. But you've got 2 more to go.
I do. Little River Band had their biggest success in the 70s, but they were still doing some things in the early 80s before everything went crazy for them.
That's a whole thing.
That's a whole thing. But they had an album in 1981 called Time Exposure, and the song Take It Easy on Me is probably my favorite off of that. It starts off as kind of a piano ballad sort of situation, then just kind of builds and builds and builds as the song goes on. And they got George Martin to produce this album, and it is so obvious. You've heard of him.
Yeah, I've heard of him. So that's great, though. And, that's also, and I don't mean this in any sort of insulting way, but George Martin is not a name that you would instantly associate with the Little River Band. So that's cool that people hear that, So if people are liking what they're hearing, Or if you're a big LRB fan and you're like, oh, she's dead on so far, how are you rounding things out?
I'm rounding things out with Cool Change. And I'm rounding it out with Cool Change because it is one of the best vocals you're ever going to hear. I stumbled upon a live version of Little River Band doing Cool Change, and Glenn Shorrock, he sounds almost exactly like he does on the record in this live version, but like that's probably the best thing that could have happened because it's just pure velvet gold is what it is.
Sometimes I hear live versions of stuff, and I think I did a video on the channel before about five live versions that are better. But sometimes it's like if you hit it out of the park in the studio, then just do that again.
Yep.
You know,
that's what happened.
So Cool Change takes us to number 5 of 5 songs that Lauren thinks that you should start with a Little River Band. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if this is your first time with us, we're wonderful. So hit the subscribe button, drop us a like. If you're a longtime fan of the band, let us know what you think of Lauren's picks. If you're like me and you only know a couple songs from them, click the links in the description, check them out, and let us know what you think of those. And as we always say, thank you so much for watching.